Minecraft 1.17 is one of Mojang's biggest updates yet. So big in fact, nearly half of the content and mobs in the version had to be cut to a later date for polish. But even so, the amount of new material there is to discover in each world is f***ing insane. Yeah, that says friggin' by the way, just pointing that one out for the YouTube demons. And of course with this comes new mobs like the adorable and deadly Axolotl and the ever so controversial Glow Squid, aka the reason why letting people vote for a mob on a platform where one influencer goes trending in the game almost daily probably isn't a good idea. And it's for this reason exactly that two other mobs you might already be familiar with won't be making it into the game at all. Hey everybody, I'm TallusFlash, and today we'll be taking a look at not only these two mobs, but every other scrap mob from the Java and Bedrock editions development, and more importantly, which ones would have been keck and which ones would have been cringe. To start off with the two mobs cut from 1.17, I feel like it's only fair to go in reverse order, especially as the earlier in Minecraft's history you go, the weirder some of these scrap mobs get. But before we can get to any of those, there's actually a secret mob in Minecraft that almost nobody knows about called the Subscribe Cow. It might just look like a normal mushroom, but the difference is, if you give it a head pat, it automatically subscribes you to the TallusFlash YouTube channel. Try it out, it's a pretty insane secret, I can't believe they left it in the game. But with that out of the way, onto the first two cut mobs in Minecraft, the Isolager and the Moobloom. Both the Isolager and the Moobloom were meant to be included in the 1.17 Caves and Cliffs update if they won Mojang's most recent mob vote on Twitter. But seeing as the Glow Squid, stole the victory away from both of them, it doesn't seem like we'll be getting either of these guys anytime soon. The Moobloom originates from Minecraft Earth and would have spread flowers around grass everywhere it walked, which would have been a nice way to easily decorate a build quickly or even farm dyes more easily. If you shared it, a Moobloom would have also dropped the Buttercup, an item also exclusive to Minecraft Earth. The Isolager, on the other hand, actually comes from Minecraft Dungeons, in the Creeping Winter DLC pack. Isolagers were a variant of Illager, which should have been pretty obvious, look at it. But they were special in the fact that they had their own unique attack called Ice Blocks, which would have summoned a slowly falling ice cloud above the player, which would have given them slowness on contact. Also, as a side note, somebody actually thought that naming the attack Ice Blocks was a good idea when there are already 3 different types of actual ice blocks in the game, all 3 of which are actually blocks and not ice attacks. So Mojang, what the Either way, both of these mobs were pretty fleshed out and had a decent chance of making it in the final version, given that they would have fit right next to the other similar mobs in the game. So the question is, was the Glow Squid the right choice? Well, it's easy for me to say that the Isolager wouldn't exactly have been the top pick for me, just because we already have 5 different types of Illagers in the game, and I also really suck at raids. Both the Moobloom and the Glow Squid come from Minecraft Earth, and are both spin-offs to a particular type of mob, in this case, mushrooms and normal squids respectively. That would have been easily encounterable at some point in the overworld, neither of them would have been groundbreaking or game-changing additions, but just sort of nice aesthetic features to spice up the wildlife of the game. And while the Moobloom's passive flower spread admittedly is cool as heck, I actually think the Glow Ink serves as a more practical addition, which is even given us colored signs, a feature which should have been in the game years ago. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing we'll be missing out on the Moobloom and Isolager, but it's still kinda hard for me to pick my favorite, so let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. The next few mobs never even got to the stage in development to have anything like an in-game model, but luckily for us, Mojang left behind a bit of concept art to show us what they could have been like. I have absolutely no idea what I'm supposed to be looking at, but I like it. The Sea Monster was a part of Minecraft's 2017 mob vote against 3 other mobs, one of which, the Phantom, actually ended up making it into the final version. The Sea Monster would have pulled players into the water to drown them using this long spear tongue thing, and it would have even worked against players in boats. The next two, codenamed the Great Hunger and the Hovering Inferno, were also pretty cool. The first of which was a lizard which would hide underground and eat anything that touched it, and apparently also could have had some kind of function with enchanting, while the Hovering Inferno would have been a random mini-boss encounter in the Nether with a bunch of rotating shields and presumably immunity to projectiles. That would have spawned a small army of blazes around them. This mob also goes unused in Minecraft Dungeons, where it's given an official name, the Wildfire. In all honesty, I kind of feel like Phantoms were the worst choice we could have gotten. It doesn't make sense to me to punish players for not sleeping when that in itself already makes nights more challenging, so why they would want to force people to take a safer path by just skipping the slightly harder gameplay is beyond me. I don't know, from a game design perspective, it just makes more sense to me to want to reward not sleeping, since that fact in itself is kind of already more of a challenge in the first place, so why just make it worse? The Sea Monster also could have been interesting, and I'm a really big fan of how it kind of looked like a kraken, but I also feel like it would have just been sort of bullshit to get crabbed out of the water with no warning or counterplay. A sound effect or a visual sign could have been a good warning to make it fair, but without actually seeing it in game, it would have been kind of hard to tell. And while the Great Hunger would have had some cool actual usage in survival mode, the best one to me would have to be the Wildfire. Especially combined with the new nether changes we got later, it would have just been so cool to randomly run into one of these things and start a mini boss fight like the Wither. It also could have been especially useful for speedrunners, being able to get enough blaze rods for the end without having to hope you just get lucky enough to find a fortress. It would have been massive for the meta and probably could have made things a lot more interesting. No way, is that BlockFax from the hit Minecraft YouTube channel BlockFax?
In the same manner of votes, ostriches, meerkats, frogs, termites and vultures were also planned for the game at some point, but never made the final cut. These were all teased during previous biome votes that ended up losing, but Mojang didn't really go into detail about what they would have done, except for the vultures. Vultures would have looted dead players' bodies and kept some of their items, even after the rest of them would despawn. However, these mobs are still planned to be added to the game at some point later. There was a 6th additional green axolotl that was teased at Minecraft Live, but never actually made it into the final game. There also seems to have been plans for an additional type of cat in the game's files in Bedrock Edition, as textures for a grey tabby exist, but go completely unused. There are 2 times where a happy wither was in the game, but both of them were April Fool's jokes. Subscribe! Not my channel, but do it anyway.
Anyways, there were also plans for another type of dragon extremely early in the game's development, famously known as the Red Dragon, which probably would have been like the Ender Dragon, but red.
Never saw that one coming.
Minecraft's lead developer Jeb has stated that if they were ever to be implemented, then players would probably get them from the Dragon Egg, which implies they might have been tameable, and might have even served as a form of flight before the Elytra was added. But other than that, nobody really knows what Notch was actually planning for them. I think it would have been really cool if they were sort of like a wandering world boss. It would make exploring in Minecraft so much more interesting, just getting to the top of a mountain, and all of a sudden... Oh yeah, and there's a goat there too, by the way. You know, he's just kind of sitting there. Or maybe having them spawn around ruined castles, which could function as dungeons, would be more in line with the way the gameplay flow in modern Minecraft survival is more centered around structures. Either way, it's something I definitely think that Mojang could return to if they really wanted to, and I'm hoping it's something we could see come back in a future update. Even earlier, there were multiple plans for human-like mobs. Pigmen were the original concept for villagers, which were later reworked into zombie pigmen, and even later in 1.17 zombified piglins. Humans were pretty much just NPC players which spawned whenever G was pressed while playing in classic mode. No matter what skin you had, the humans would always just be regular Steves. They pretty much only moved around the map aimlessly, walking in slightly imperfect circles and jumping occasionally. And they have an interesting connection to another hostile mob called the Monster, which looked identical to humans and was even connected to rumors about Herobrine. I've already got a video which talks about that here, so check it out later when you're done with this one. My personal favorites have got to be the early alpha player models made by concept artist Doc when he worked at Mojang, which were called Steve, Beast Boy, Black Steve, and Nana. All of which look extremely different from anything we've seen in Minecraft. But had the art style change actually gone through, all of Minecraft's future mobs could have looked like this. And even stranger, since this would have been the official style for player models, Minecraft skins and menus could have looked like this as well. Making Minecraft skins is pretty easy. Anyone can open an art program and just make some simple pixel art if they want to. But with this style, it probably would have been a little bit harder. Maybe custom models, which would have had to be made using an official editor, or just retextures of certain preset models might have had to been the way to go. Either way, a Minecraft with this art style and logo would have been way different as a game, especially since this early screenshot also featured things like player stats and many more types of armor. Makes you wonder if the game's survival mode was going to be more akin to an early dungeon crawler or RPG game. You ask me what the best dungeon crawler in existence is? Fate? Nah, I'm sleep. Minecraft? Woke. And finally, the last major removed mob from Minecraft Java Edition's earliest versions is this thing, called Tuchar. Tuchar was a mob that was added in the survival test and removed in Alpha 1.2.1_01, and it normally couldn't be accessed anywhere in the game at all. Shocking, I know. Not much is known about it or even documented anywhere on the internet, but it's theorized to have been a base mob that would have been used to program newer mobs into the game. Since its removal, it's unknown whether or not it still would have been used internally by Mojang to this day, but if it is, then that would make Tuchar the literal origin of all mobs in Minecraft. Sort of like Minecraft's very own Mew. That's it for the cut mobs of Minecraft. Thank you all so much for watching, and thanks to the cut content, BlockFax, for making a cameo in this video. And until next time, I'll be back in a flash. Subscribe!